Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Hey everyone, my name is Morck. I'm 18 years old, fighting out of Arte Suave, Copenhagen in Denmark. I'm currently an amateur MMA fighter, fighting in bantam and featherweight with a record of 9-1. I started doing judo when I was 3. My dad introduced that to me. He has done judo for 25, 30 years. So it kind of became natural that I also did martial arts and started doing judo. So I did judo in like 8, 9 years. Then I started doing wrestling in the same period of time. And like in Denmark, we have a tradition where we do Greco-Roman wrestling, so I've done that a lot. And then later on, I turned on doing BJJ. And within like the last 4 or 5 years, I did turn over to MMA. And yeah, now we're here. I was at the national team in judo for 3-4 years ago. I came on the national team in judo, I think it was 2019, and I was there a couple of years. And I really enjoyed it. The experience there were awesome, like nice people, good training and stuff like that. But I also did BJJ in the same period, so I had to pick a side, and I chose BJJ at that time. So I did judo at the age of 3 until I was 8 because of the rules in judo. Then suddenly we couldn't grab the legs, and that I became tired of. So I started doing wrestling, like we started doing freestyle wrestling, but in Denmark we have a tradition where we do Greco-Roman wrestling. So also I did Greco-Roman wrestling like a couple of years, and then I started doing judo again. At the same time I started doing BJJ. And then I became on the national team in judo, and within the same period I also did a lot of BJJ, and yeah, I loved both. And then finally, you know, there's only 24 hours a day, so I had to like pick a side, and I chose BJJ because that was in like my gym where I also did MMA, so that was more natural for me. I've trained a lot of other martial arts before I did MMA, so it only became natural that I switched over to MMA. I started doing MMA as like in a very young age, but it was not so serious at that time. I think I was 12, 13 years old when I came down from a gi sparring session, and Pani Kiansa, she wanted to spar with me because she had an upcoming fight and she wanted to go with a good grappling guy. So I just took my top off and grabbed some gloves and got my ass whooped. I think at that time I really felt like I want to do MMA. So I just stuck with it, and at the age of 13, 14, I completely switched to MMA, and had my first fight when I was 15, and just stuck with it. And I feel like the transition from all the other martial arts into MMA has been great, and I feel like I have a solid background now in MMA. That's perfect. I think when I was 14, I've always been hungry for competing. I think I've had maybe 200-300 judo fights and 500-600 grappling fights. So yeah, I've always been hungry for competing, and I always ask like my coach, can I fight now? Can I fight now? Can I fight now? And he was like, in Denmark you have to be 15 for getting a fight. So when I was 15, I got a junior fight, and it was such a great experience. Like the first fight, I came out winning on unanimous decision, and I think my coach always knew, like, even though I was so young, that I had the capability of winning that fight, and I think he saw that I was ready there at the age of 15. I'm a very humble guy in general, so I really have it difficult to do some trash talk and stuff like that. but if I have to, I have to. You know, it's don't hate the player, hate the game. So for getting that attention, you need to be like some sort of character, because I have to see now that results doesn't speak for itself. If you're a boring fighter, then people won't see you. So when people won't see you, then you're going nowhere. So I feel like the UFC, it's of course it's an MMA event, but it's also like a full show of many different characters going in there, and then it's just like the best man win. And I enjoy that as well, but I more enjoy the fighting part rather than the trash talking part. Yeah, actually from like our gym is in general very humble, and we come from such a small country, so like bragging about shit that we're not would just be ridiculous. So I feel like in Arte Suave, we're in general very humble, both in gi and no gi, MMA and Thai boxing as well. And yeah, I think it's very familiar with like the gym's name. Arte Suave, it means like the slowly way, like the controlled way. So often when we fight, it's with no emotions and more like a sport. We don't get emotional impacted by like we're throwing hands at each other and kicking and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like my dad is also very humble. I maybe got it from him, I don't know. I feel like yeah, now we moved from a different location. Before we was in a small basement, but now we have a huge place. Not as huge as Bang Tao here, but pretty big. And we got a lot of great fighters as well. And I think that it just shows that the level in Denmark is growing. And seeing that from a young age, like Danish people coming to the UFC, the Bellator, Invicta, like all of that, it's just like, it's just a way of me thinking that we're not so far from the top, you know. And our gym is still a good gym. It's a top contender gym, I think. We have some fighters in the UFC, Louis Glisman in Octagon as well. And yeah, I think it's great that we have such a different environment of fighters, that we still have like a lot of amateurs sparring with the pros, and then we have like the top contenders in the UFC and stuff like that. It's very, very good. Like my fighting style, it's like I come in and I always want to bring the heat. Like I'm not that much of a stand-up guy. I'll rather go in, take people down, do my ground and pound, and hopefully get like a submission or something. I'm more like a lay and pray guy, just ground and pounding. But like if he throws, I throws. I'm ready to brawl always. So I feel like my fighting style it's very different from person to person that I fight against. But mostly I'll grapple. I'll mostly grapple and wrestle. I won my first belt last year, February. I took the fight on 7 days notice. After I just had a staph infection in my ear, and I just came back. I got a call when I was sitting on the arbite, and it's like, it's on, it's you now. It's like, perfect. So my dad couldn't come with me at that time, so I was with one of my friends, and we just went over there. It was in Rochester, in UK, and like we were just two-man army, and we just enjoyed it. And like the fight itself was a very tough fight. I think it was my toughest fight till date. I took a lot of damage. I got knocked down in the third round. Like rocked very hard. I thought I was out. Couldn't see out of my right eye. And I flipped the switch and got the submission in the fourth round. And that was like, I can't even describe such an incredible moment. Like it was unbelievable at that time. And my second belt I won in Scotland at a promotion called the Elias Fight Series. That was also very nice. I fought a very tough kickboxing dude, Aaron Towns, local guy, and I like going across the border and fighting the UK. They have such a huge scene, many promotions, many fighters, and when I won that belt, like, it was incredible because my friend, he was supposed to be there, but he was in the military at that time, so he couldn't come with me. And yeah, post show, I was just so glad. Like, I can't like describe the feeling of winning a belt. It's incredible. Yeah, I lost to a guy named Anis Kleeman from Wales. It was a title fight this year. Yeah, of course, it sucks to lose, but I would rather lose as an amateur than a pro. And I feel like the fight, it's not for no excuses or anything, but it was like in my exams period, and I don't know, I wasn't there like 100% mentally. And big ups to Ellis. He did what he did great. You know, he won the fight. It was a very close fight, and yeah, it is what it is. Like, a lot sucks, but I moved on. Fought 2 months after and won, and yeah, I feel like it sucks to lose, but yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It really sucks to lose, and of course I was feeling very sad. I ran straight to the heavy bag and punched on that for like an hour or so after that loss. But after that, I was just like, it's only amateur. Like, it's now we can make mistakes, because when we turn pro, it's for real. I have many people I look up to, but especially my dad and his discipline. He's 45, still going strong, and that motivates me. Like, I'm 18, and if I feel lazy, I just look at my dad. He's 45, still going strong, training 2-3 times a day, have a wife, 3 kids, full-time job, so I can't complain about being lazy. He's the man. And then my head coach as well, Nikolai Kupti, he's also very like a big picture for me in my everyday life. Like, I see him more than I see my mom, and yeah, he takes such good care of me and makes me sharpen my tools up to the fights. I really look up to him. I want to be like them when I grow older. When I'm old, I want to be like them, you know. And then Mads Burnell, he's in the Bellator, and he's also like kind of a guy I see up to, like a nice guy. So yeah, that's like my 3 idols. Right now I still go to school, so when I'm done with school, I'll probably go pro. That would be in like 2-3 years. I have 10 fights now. I would try to get around 30 amateur fights. Yeah, I really want to, like, between 20 and 30 amateur fights. That's the goal. And then I'm gonna turn pro, and after school, hopefully, like, I'll get seen by a big promotion or a scout or anything. And that's like my goal. And I really want to move down here to Bangtao as well after I'm done with school. Yeah, I travel a lot. I've been here to Thailand. This is my 2nd time. I'm so grateful for all my sponsors and my parents for their financial support. That really helps me, and I've been on training camps 2 times here in Thailand. I've been to AllStar's training center in Sweden almost every year as well, on a training camp there. I have been in Sweden, yeah, like mostly training there, like outside my gym. I think it has been in Sweden in AllStars. And like, if I didn't have any sponsors or my parents, I wouldn't like have the finance to cover all that and go on training camps. And it's the same with fights, because often I cover my own flights as an amateur and my own accommodation. So if I didn't have the sponsors, these opportunities wouldn't be possible. So I'm very grateful for that. I have trained with Mads Burnell, and like, he's incredible. I've trained with, last time I was here, Brad Riddell was here in Thailand, and that was also like a whole new level of MMA. Then I have trained with Hamsat in Sweden. I have not sparred with him or anything, he's too big for me, but just watching him spar, it's crazy. And then I have sparred with Nicholas Dalby. And that's like, I feel like that's the top 4 of crazy guys. I'd like to thank everybody around me, especially my training partners, my family, and my sponsors. If I didn't have you guys, it wouldn't be possible for me being here training, and I wouldn't have come this far without you guys, so I'm very grateful.